Sponsored by Black Magic Design, the world's highest quality products for the feature film, post and broadcast industries. blackmagicdesign.com. And by JMR Rentals, professional, digital, cinema and broadcast equipment rentals in Brooklyn, New York. jmrny.com.
Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Jason Godbey, and today on the program, I'll be speaking with Law and Order actress Allison Siko. But first, we got a quick recap of this year's Soho International Film Festival. Now, if you've been following the show, you know that we covered the Soho International Film Festival. It kicked off in September with the premiere of The Nana Project, directed by Robin Givens. We interviewed her on the red carpet, along with a whole host of filmmakers and creators on opening night. Check out our opening night episode for more of that. We also covered the premieres of Scrap, starring Anthony Rapp, Asian Persuasion, starring Dante Bosco and Casey Concepcion, and Queen of Knives, starring Gene Pope, Mel Harris, and Tara Westwood. Now, on September 21st, an awards ceremony was held at Fushimi in Times Square. Anthony Rapp was nominated for Best Performance in a U.S. feature for his work in Scrap, and Scrap's director, Vivian Kerr, won the New York Women in Film and Television Award for Excellence in Directing. Both The Nana Project and Queen of Knives were nominated for the Audience Award for Best Feature, with Asian Persuasion taking home that award. The festival's founder, George Ballos, and executive director, Sibyl Santiago, have big plans to grow the festival and their nonprofit arm, the Soho Film Forum. Our own Samantha Casesa caught up with them on the red carpet.
I am joined by George Ballos, the founder of the Soho International Film Festival, and Sibyl Santiago, the executive director. Welcome back, guys, to the 14th annual. How does it feel to be here this year after finally being back in the full swing of things?
Well, it's actually amazing, with a lot of submission this year. And of course, with the help of my executive director, Sibyl Santiago, she's actually really worked hard for this year's festival, Yes, yeah.
And what has it been like for you to be back at the Angelica again as well?
Well, Village East by Angelica. That's clear because people get lost in New York City when you see Angelica, but it's great. I mean, we were back last year after the pandemic, and it was sort of at first kind of like trying to refamiliarize yourself socially more than anything, but because of the help of the amazing filmmakers that we have that come to this festival, I think they've made it easy for us to kind of just get back into the game. And of course this year, like George was mentioning, that we had more submissions and really great stories this year, really great filmmaking. I feel like everybody somehow had this time to just really dive into themselves and find those stories, because it's been really exciting, and I'm just happy.
Absolutely. And next year, we are coming up on the 15th anniversary. That is a huge deal. If there's anything you can tell us, what do you have in store? What are you excited about just for the general future of the festival?
Well, we're excited because we now have our 501c3, which means we have a nonprofit side arm for the festival now that we are really looking to expand, because besides just the film festival itself, we want to have like mentorship programs, we want to have classes, we want to
writing program, so not only like a workshop, so yeah, we're actually going to expand the Soho, I'm hoping like next year.
We're basically, what we want to do is create, because as you can see, the festival's been, thank God, good to us and good to the filmmakers. We want to be able to get to a point where we can bring the next generation and sort of like usher in the new a group of filmmakers and storytellers and representing us up there on screen. So fingers crossed. If we can get our grants, we have been applying finally, and we're waiting and hoping if things go through, putting it out in the universe, then we can really expand and do cool things for the filmmakers and the writers out there.
Amazing. And this year in some ways is a little bit different than other years because we are currently in the midst of a WGA and SAG strike. Obviously, we're working right now under some interim agreements with full transparency and permission from those unions. Was there any risk where you thought, oh man, maybe this won't happen? And how has the strike kind of changed the way you've been navigating this year?
Honestly, we were slightly nervous, but not overly nervous, because we also know that we run an independent film festival. And I feel personally, I'm a SAG member myself. I walk the picket line, so does George, who walks the picket line. We support our WGA brothers and sisters as well. And we feel that if there's a time to support independent storytellers and filmmakers, it's now, because these productions, ironically, through the strikes, are the ones that are willing to sign these agreements, no problem, considering as a producer, speaking as a producer strictly, that's really hard for an independent filmmaker to assess that cost value for a film that has no money at all behind it. But we are willing to do it anyway, because we want to do right by the industry. We want to do right by our actors, by our writers, by everyone, really. I mean, even the producers are suffering. Independent producers, I should say, are suffering through this. And so I feel like this is why we need to support these independent productions more than ever, because we need to pop out content so that the studios know that they're not the only ones that can make stuff. Because good stories in this festival alone, you'll see a lot of really great films that really, on a normal timeline, they probably have difficulties trying to get any of these studios to even look at their projects, and sometimes they don't go anywhere when they should have been on top of these, programs. So maybe this will open their eyes, and that's why I feel like, as a community of actors, directors, writers, and such, that we should support it even more so now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And George, you obviously have founded such a community as well with this festival. I've been able to see over the past couple of days just the sheer excitement of everybody, all of the creators involved, but also just fans of the festival. And there's such a buzz of community. What is that like for you to get to see that as part of your creation?
Well, I was very happy, and imagine it's 15 years for next year. So I actually founded this back in 2009 on Soho Loft. It's like one-stop shop. The screening, the red carpet, the parties every night. So, and back then it's like 3 days for the festival. And then the following years we expanded for like 7 days or 5 days, so of course with the help of my friend and my business partner and my executive director, Sibyl, Santiago, so she's actually always on top of this, so that's why I just let her do whatever she wants, so I trust her, so.
Well, I'll say that's what's important, is the trust, that's why we work well together, and also,
we argue, but
it's like we're like a couple. It's really kind of sad, but it's always because we both want what's good for the festival. We really do, and plus we have an amazing team, and that it needs to be mentioned that this festival is really supported by a lot of volunteers. We're practically also volunteers. So but it goes to show you the community that is built around it. So just us alone building it, I think that's why it spills over to the filmmakers that come and join us, and our alums are growing every year, and they come back, they meet people that they meet at the festival, and they come back with films that they've, done together because they met here. We're obviously expanding our world, I think, in a very positive way, and hopefully we can continue doing that.
Amazing. Well, finally, please just tell me how we can, get connected online to the festival, to the nonprofit, and know more about what's coming up and follow along.
Just go to sohofilmfest.com. Follow us on all socials at Soho Film Fest. And hashtags for this year, hashtag Soho14, every year, hashtag SIFNYC. We have a very wonderful group of social media people that's really helping the festival kind of spread the word. So help us get the word out.
And joining me now, she is an accomplished actor. You'll know her from her many appearances on a show that sounds like Straw and Border, Miss Allison Siko. Welcome, Allison.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for schlepping to Brooklyn.
Of course. I love to cross the river when I can.
So you're the first guest in the new digs. So you're christening that seat right now.
I feel very honored. Thank you so much.
So I appreciate you being patient with our experimentation. And there's a lot to talk about, of course. We are still on strike.
Yes.
So we're speaking strike language.
So yes, SAG after strong.
And, but first, before we get in all that business, I want to talk to you about you.
Sure.
So tell me, how did you get into the crazy business of show? What's your origin story?
I started kind of since birth, really. Um, I was born with a little bit of jaundice, and they put me under that like rotisserie chicken light in the hospital. And I apparently was so okay with people looking and just checking to make sure I was okay that the nurses asked my parents, "Hey, can we actually use her as the little model baby to show the other parents how you wash their hair, how you change a diaper?" And I was so fine with it that I'm guessing that that's where it really started. But consciously, I remember watching a lot of movie musicals growing up and being obsessed with, say, Shirley Temple and Beauty and the Beast and Barbra Streisand and Funny Girl and, um, White Christmas, the whole feather fans and everything. And I'm an only child, so I didn't have a sibling, but I would have my friends come over and I'd have my little dress up trunk and we'd try to do the sisters together and just have some fun. And this was all down in Maryland. I actually was born and grew up there the first 5 years of my life in Maryland. But then I just really had the bug and wanted to perform. And so through family friends, we had a connection to New York. And they were coming up for an audition, and I begged my mom. I said, "Can we go with them just to see what it's like?" And she said, "You're 3 years old. This is very precocious of you." And I said, "Mom, commercials are easy. You just bite a cookie and go, it's good." And she said, "Well, with that logic, sure, we can give this a shot." So she just figured since she grew up in the New Jersey area, she'd take me up. We'd hail a cab, see some big buildings, call it a day. Put a pin in that. But we got up here and our family friend went on her audition. And then because it's such a long drive, they said, we have to stop by our agent's office real quick to give them some new pictures or, whatever you do to check in. And I saw a room full of adults that I had never seen before. And I was that precocious kid who would go up to people in supermarkets and start doing impressions. So I was like, new audience members, here we go. And I did my Steve Urkel impression of Laura got any cheese and just started being my goofy self. And they said, she's hysterical. Can we send her out? And my mom said, that's exactly what she wanted to do. We don't know how this works, but sure. And by the time we got back to Maryland, there was a message on the machine. I'm dating myself slightly, but then I had an audition the next day and I got a call back and I booked my first commercial, and it's kind of been a ever lovely rolling snowball of fun since.
What was the first big job though? What was the first, was it when you got on the TV series, or was there other things before that?
Oh, I'm hopefully going to be a multi-decade overnight success. So it started with a lot of network national commercials for major brands such as Cheerios and Playskool and Fisher-Price and Burger King and Crest toothpaste. So I was a commercial kid working the circuit, as you would say, and grew up with a lot of people who have since gone on to Disney fame, Nickelodeon fame, et cetera, et cetera. But my parents always wanted to have me have one foot on reality. And so I did the whole public school system and was very much living a half quote unquote normal kid life and half performing kid life. But I did a lot of theater growing up as well. And so I got to do some amazing main stage productions at Paper Mill Playhouse in Millburn, New Jersey. And through doing that, the one show that really solidified everything for me was Gypsy, starring Betty Buckley and Deborah Gibson. And to have Betty Buckley, legend of stage and screen, playing my mother, she was Mama Rose, and I was Baby Louise, the younger counterpart to Debbie Gibson's older Louise / Gypsy. It was just such a formative experience. And she would give me acting notes as if I was a peer of going, no, don't anticipate that moment. You don't know what we're going to say. Let the audience have their moment. And it was magical. It was like everything I had seen in those old-fashioned movie musicals of when they're showing the vaudeville kids how to do it. And so I started to fully comprehend that, this is a path. This is a career. You can do this for more than just having fun on a day on set or a couple of weeks at a theater. This can be a life. And so that was exceptionally formatting of my foundation of what I wanted to do. And then through that, I went to their educational program in the summers, learned a lot. And then I was at Mason Gross at Rutgers University for my BFA in acting, and we got to have our exchange program with Shakespeare's Globe over in London, and I got to learn about the classics and perform on the Globe stage, which was amazing. But yes, throughout all of this, I had auditioned for any kind of television, independent film, major motion pictures under the sun, and since we are currently on strike, I can't really talk about a lot of them. But yes, one of the bigger things was I got an independent film, and then I also had gotten a recurring role on a network television show that people might recognize me from. But yeah, it was that kind of thing of where things just kept happening and just kept making sure that I was training because, doctors don't automatically get to operate on people. They have to go to school. And I felt the same way. If this is going to be my job, I want to know what I'm doing. So I'm constantly taking classes, constantly auditioning, and just living that actor life. And now I'm in the city and still doing it.
I found, and I've had other people on the show who were child actors before. There's a big difference between being the cute kid on set and trying to make it as an adult.
Oh, big time.
Like the competition's a lot more fierce. It's a lot different. People treat you different.
Yeah.
Was there like sort of a coming of age moment?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely there is a transitional period that unfortunately not everybody makes it across that bridge. Some people realize, oh, I did it a lot as a kid, and they either feel burned out and then they just don't want to follow the path any further and they pick a new path. And I do have some friends who have lovingly switched gears and they're living their best lives, very away from the limelight. And then there are others who power through, and I feel like I'm one of them who's powered through, but it also very much depends on, it's a visual medium most of the time. So it depends on your meat suit, as I call it. Like, we're literally just puppets in a puppet show. And so if the puppet doesn't look right for the characters, you have to wait until it does. So I have kind of baby face-itis, and I've looked really young for a really long time. And so to be taken seriously as an adult in the industry, it's kind of figuring out the timing of when do you actually look like an adult, when do you behave like an adult, when can they cast you in a role and make it believable. Like, I'm still kind of on the cusp of, I don't know if people would believe me as a young mom. I think I'm getting there, but for their longest time, people were like, oh, when did you graduate school? And I was like, a few years ago. But yeah, it's that kind of thing of just seeing where you fit. And if you don't currently find a place that you fit, how do you make yourself fit? And that's the transition I've been having recently with the COVID lockdown, with the strikes. It's gotten me to realize that the people who have staying power make things. Artists are craftspeople. You have to keep making things. You can't just sit by the phone to ring. So the idea of just being an actor who only reads words written by someone else, that's a very antiquated idea now. So I've been looking into producing and writing and creating my own mark because I'm not going anywhere. As I like to say, I'm on the Betty White plan. I know I started early, but I only want to exit stage left when the stage manager in the sky says it's time.
Now with the strike happening, like, how are you keeping busy? And I know I remember I think you said you were taking some classes and stuff like that. What does someone do in this situation? And how do you support yourself?
Oh, the supporting the self is very challenging at the moment. Definitely having just had some episodes run really did help. I was living off of residuals for a little bit, but that coffer ran dry pretty darn quick, especially since part of what we're fighting for is for the residuals to have staying power. Like, I have some episodes that I shot when I was younger that are still earning me more in residuals than what I just shot 2 years ago, because now there are new formulas involved, there's streaming involved. And so it is not the same payday as it was where I used to, like, everything of that would go into a fund, like, and stay aside to help pay for college, pay for books, pay for the training classes that I wanted to take, because this is definitely not a cheap art form. But now that I live in the city, there's also rent to pay, there's health insurance to pay, I don't have a car payment, and I don't have a child or a fuzzy little puppy yet, but I do have houseplants that need to be watered. So, there is a sense that I need to have some sort of income. And so I've been doing the best I can, picking up gigs where I can. I have a lovely friend who is an events production manager, or producer with they created their own production company, and whenever they're doing a gig where they would need a national anthem singer, they've been reaching out to me. And so I got to sing on the Intrepid for a gala, and I got to sing for a celebrity softball game at Yankee Stadium. And they're not going to pay my rent fully, but they're definitely going to help. And then I do have a very, very supportive familial and friend network. So, there is the occasional, hey, can you loan me some? I will pay you back kind of a thing. So it is a bit survival mode. You do what you can and you make it work. But also I'm very, very cognizant of, I don't want to burn bridges. I don't want to abuse those privileges I do have, because I know not everybody has them. So it is the thing of it's a tightrope, but I'm walking it and doing the best we can.
I don't want to talk too much about the strike because, who knows, maybe by the time this comes out, it's over. We don't know.
Fingers crossed.
But I do have some more fun questions I want to ask you. I'm sure, if you're not, I will eat my hat. I'm sure you're familiar with the program Inside the Actors Studio.
Yes, I am.
Okay, with James Lipton, the late, great James Lipton. So, as you know, at the end of that show...
No way!
Lipton had the Bernard Pivot questionnaire.
Yes, he did.
Which Pivot developed for a show called Apostrophe, and another one I can't pronounce because my French is terrible. But I would love to ask you those questions because I feel like no one's going to be interviewed by James Lipton anymore. And, he pinched those questions from Pivot.
It's true.
So I can pinch them from him.
Oh my gosh, you are fulfilling one of my dreams right now.
Yeah,
Thank you so
I've
much.
never met an actor who said no to this. Okay.
It's not like we've been practicing ever since we saw our first episode of Inside the Actors Studio. What would I say to that? I don't know. What would you say?
All right, so we'll get to it.
Here we
and
go.
Just, I always just don't think about these things too much, So whatever's right at the top of the dome kind of thing. All right. So, Allison, what is your favorite word?
Juxtapose.
What is your least favorite word?
No.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, emotionally?
Love and compassion.
What turns you off?
Fear and anger.
This is everybody's favorite question. What is your favorite curse word?
I mean, it's got so much good oomph to it that I don't use it a lot, but when I do, it's quite good. So I'm going to have to go with horse shit. It's just, you can really bite into it.
Not literally, hopefully.
No.
What sound or noise do you love?
I love orchestras when they're tuning to that A, and it's the oboe starts, but then the strings come in, and there's just something about sitting in a chamber space, a theater, where that just swells. I feel like it just warms me from the inside out.
That's one of my favorites too.
Mm-hmm.
What sound or noise do you hate?
I mean, I live in a triangle of sirens here in the city, and the COVID epidemic was quite terrible during that. So I think if I never hear another siren for the rest of my life, it'll be too soon.
I'm with you. That and leaf blowers. What profession, other than your own, would you like to attempt?
There's so many, and I could never decide. That's why I chose actor, because I can hopefully pretend to be all of them. But
if you had to.
If I had to choose, probably some combo pack of anthropologist, archaeologist, marine biologist. I like the ologies.
And what profession would you not like any part of?
I really don't need to be on Wall Street.
Awesome. All right, final question.
Sure.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say as you enter the pearly gates?
Oh, you're going to make me cry. Good job on phase 1. Before you go to phase 2, all of your friends, family, and pets are over in the waiting room.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So I'm going to wrap up. For people who want to follow you, find you, where can they do so online?
Oh, of course. I'm online at Allison Siko, ALLISONSIKO. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Threads. Those are where I mainly stay. And then I do have a website, AllisonSiko.com, as well as IMDb.
Fantastic. So thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And that's all we got for you today. Thank you for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. For more of our content, visit our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube, youtube.com/getbehindtherabbit. And now you can follow us on Instagram at No Rest for the Weekend. I'd like to thank my guests, Sibyl Santiago, George Ballos, and Allison Siko. And a big thanks to our sponsors, Black Magic Design and JMR Rentals. For Behind the Rabbit Productions and Samantha Casesa, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.